So this is episode 5 of the Money Musician podcast, where we talk about everything music, performing, gigging, music theory, content creation, everything. And today I got my friend here. What's so funny? This is the intro. She's a music creator. So that's a singer, songwriter, producer, content creator, entrepreneur, lots of stuff.
Yep.
This is Sabrina Seids. It's getting better. The intro's getting better. Okay, cool. So you've done a lot of stuff in music, and I know you went to Berkelee.
Mm-hmm.
So before you went to Berkelee, how did you get into that? How did you get to go to Berkelee? What were you doing before that?
So I was one of those kids that was singing before I was speaking. Like,
oh, really?
Everywhere I went, everyone was just like sing, and I was like,
Like 3 or 4 years old?
yeah, like I was just like an entertainer as a child,
Really?
like in my nature,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So I was always like singing and performing, and when I grew up, I was really like, my parents took me to my first Broadway show, which was Cats, the musical. And then once I saw that, I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to be a performer, an entertainer. And then I was also playing piano, so I really loved songwriting.
Yeah.
And
How old were you in that?
When I was playing piano and songwriting?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even remember. Like
under 10 years old?
Maybe not that little. But
Okay.
like when I was in middle school, like I was always doing like the talent shows, and I was always like singing everywhere. And I remember I made like my first little CD of a song I wrote, and I handed it out to all my classmates.
Oh.
I want to say this was like freshman year of high school.
Wow. So you were getting it going like really early.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, and my parents aren't musicians, so it wasn't like I was trying to be like a star at that age. It was just
something you liked.
I was just making music, yeah. So when I was in high school, I didn't know if I wanted to pursue like musical theater or singing songwriting. So in high school, I would always get like parts in the plays and acting and stuff like that, and I hated the competition of it, like always like trying to get a part. And my senior year, we did Beauty and the Beast, and I really wanted Belle. Obviously, that's the only good female role in that show.
Right.
And I didn't get it. I got Mrs. Potts, and I was so mad. Like I remember like driving my brother home, just like sobbing, like hysterically crying. And that's when I was like, fuck this shit. Like I'm not going into musical theater. I was like, this is a no for me. Yeah. And also like musical theater is just not that cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
like
not
when you're
that
in high
cool.
school. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, I'm going to go into being a singer, songwriter, and I'm going to go to Berkelee, and that's way cooler. So that's what I did.
So because of the
pretty much
the hired role of Mrs.
Instead
Potts,
of being the most beautiful person in the town, you were the old fat teapot. Yes.
and that's what pushed you to be a songwriter.
That's when I was just like, I'm done with musical theater. We're not doing this.
That's so crazy. And did you? So you did the.
Okay, so here's the thing.
So you did the show still.
I didn't want to do the show. Like I was adamantly like, I'm not doing the show. And then a bunch of kids in my high school, which I don't even know why, like high school is so weird, right? But a bunch of kids, they made a Facebook group trying to convince me to do the show. They're like,
really?
Please do the show. And I guess that was endearing to me, so I decided to do it. Nice. And it was fun, but I hated it.
Were you nervous?
Nervous for what?
The show.
No, it was a high school musical.
I mean, that's like, I was nervous for my first show.
I had been doing shows like since I was really young.
Oh, so
I did like a bunch of community theater. I was always like singing. I was always like singing the national anthem. So I never had stage fright. Like I was always performing and doing things.
Were you taking lessons as a child?
Yeah.
Singing lessons?
Yeah.
When did you start that?
I started singing lessons, I don't really remember, like kind of maybe in middle school I started taking singing lessons.
Up until high school? All the way through high school?
Yeah, pretty much all the way through high school and college. I had a really, really, really good singing coach in high school. I got really lucky. Her name is Diana Canova, and she was the best.
And that was in New York?
No.
Where was
that was
that?
in Connecticut. Yeah.
Oh, Connecticut.
So yeah, she's amazing. She's like been on Broadway and done TV shows and all this really cool stuff. But I would drive to her house from my house in Connecticut, and it was like a 30-minute drive, and it was well worth it. I mean, she was just like, there was a few people, not very many, but there was like a few people that just like believed in me like a young age, and like, I don't know, she always just made me feel like she believed in me and was like very encouraging.
Yeah.
I only have like warm, bubbly thoughts when I think of her, which is nice.
Yeah, that's
I want to
huge.
cry. I haven't thought about her in a while. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I should message her.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's how it was with one of my guitar teachers too, in college. He like got me to switch my major, and they just like inspire something in you that's like really, you just don't forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like now that I do like a lot of teaching, I hope to inspire people like the same way that she kind of like inspired me and cheered me on and rooted me on. She never made me feel like I couldn't do something. Where I feel like so many of my educators over the years, they kind of led with like, oh, you're not going to be able to do that, you know?
Right.
They kind of led with like a negative.
Kind of pessimistic.
Yeah, and she was always just like super positive, and yeah, I think about those memories fondly.
Yeah, it's really cool. I did this recently too, where you look back on like the timeline of your life, and there's usually like, I don't know, a couple people that have really just kind of shifted things for you, or were like the biggest motivators throughout your whole like timeline.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that that's one of them, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. And so that led you to go to Berkelee.
Yeah, so then I went to Berkelee, and then Berkelee was interesting because I went from, in my opinion, being the best singer in my town, like by a long run. Obviously, I'm going to think that about myself. But then I went to Berkelee, and then I all of a sudden wasn't the best singer anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're pretty good.
Thank you.
That's crazy that yeah, so you had more competition there.
Well, it wasn't even just about being a singer. Like, once you go to Berkelee, it's just about, like, musicality and all this other stuff. When I was younger, I didn't really realize how, like, vast. Like, I knew there was, like, a bunch of instruments and stuff like that, but I didn't really realize how vast, like, the music umbrella is. Like, here I was at Berkelee learning, like, counterpoint and conducting and, like, things that I just never thought I'd be, like, diving into.
Yeah.
Conducting was actually one of my favorite classes.
So they have you just conduct a few songs?
A whole semester, 2 semesters of conducting.
Really?
Learning how to do it.
Why do you?
I would have been a bomb as conductor.
Yeah.
So fun.
So for like a giant band, you're just leading them.
Yeah, we didn't actually lead a live band, but we were learning like it's a lot. You can go into like a master's of just conducting. It's like a very skilled, nuanced career.
Yeah, and is that just stuff that you were trying out?
No, this was a requirement to graduating.
Oh, crazy.
I had to take like 2 semesters of conducting.
Yeah.
Wow. And then like 4 semesters of counterpoint.
So you were a singing performance major?
Yeah.
And they still made you do all that stuff?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because I remember that just in jazz school too, you just have to do like the prerequisites and just a bunch of random classes, like history of rock music or like just random ones that still have to do with music, but it's not particular to like your performance.
I know, yeah. I mean, my time at Berkelee, I kind of felt like inadequate, like the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you just weren't good enough to pass?
A combination. No, it's not that I couldn't pass. It was just Berkelee isn't like a very tailored school to what your wants and needs are. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of very broad. That's what I meant. Like, that's what I mean when I'm like, I didn't realize how like broad the umbrella was. And they would just be like conducting was super cool and the things I learned was awesome, but I've never once used them in my career, really.
Interesting, yeah.
Like a few things of like leading a band, but imagine if I'm just like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And so much of the stuff I learned was kind of like impractical. And so much of the stuff that I did, like I learned how to be a singer on the cruise ship, my first job. That was where I didn't learn how to sing at Berkelee.
What do you think you took away from Berkelee then?
I think I did Berkelee wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
If I were to advise anyone on what to do at Berkelee, it's not just learning the information and studying with the teachers and whatever. Like, the best part about Berkelee is the networking experience, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Like, when I was there,
Yeah.
Charlie Puth was like a year younger than me, and I could have been friends with him or like hanging out with people that are like doing really cool things now.
Yeah.
But when I was at Berkelee, I just kind of hung out with my boyfriend, like my 4 friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I went to class, went back home, and, you know,
Yeah.
I went to parties.
So you felt like you should have been focusing more on the networking side of
like,
it?
you're never going to be in that situation ever again where like the most talented musicians from all over the world are in this one city and they're just willing to like collaborate just because.
Yeah, that's great. And I wouldn't even think of that. Or like, obviously there's great musicians, but yeah, you think it's just like, I'm going to go learn how to sing better and all this stuff. Dang, wow. Is there still anyone that you keep in contact with from there?
I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
I have some friends, like, there's a few friends that I like keep in contact with. Yeah. When I was studying abroad, I studied abroad with this girl, Allie, and we became friends. We haven't kept up over the years, but she's playing right now with Chappell Roan, and I'm obsessed with Chappell Roan, so I keep seeing like Chappell Roan like concerts and stuff on TikTok, and then there's Allie like jamming away, and it just warms my little heart.
She's a singer, or what does she do?
No, she plays bass.
Oh, she's playing bass in his band?
Yeah.
Oh,
Chappell Roan's band. It's a girl.
Oh, I haven't heard of her.
She's amazing.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. It's crazy to see like what paths everyone takes after college.
Yeah. I think like a lot of people get like jealous or kind of like bitter if they see someone else kind of doing well. But for me, it's like the opposite. I get so hyped.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy. And especially people that you know or that you know like maybe have struggled and stuff, and now they're off traveling the world.
Yeah.
Just doing this really cool thing. Like, she was just on the Jimmy Fallon show. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so wild. And do you think it's because she went to Berkelee that she kind of got that hookup?
I don't think so, but I don't really know like how she got the hookup there. But maybe. Like, I think some people do like feel like because of Berkelee they were able to like meet the right people. Yeah. But yeah, in my experience, Berkelee hasn't helped me with my career. I don't think. Like, everything in my career, I kind of chipped away on my own. Yeah.
Well, you kind of took a different path too. Or you were singing for a little while.
Yeah, I was singing for a long while.
Yeah.
Like,
and you still do every once in a while. Would you recommend a musician that's looking to go to Berkelee, do you recommend them going to Berkelee and spending that money and going through that whole experience?
I think it's kind of like tricky. It's kind of a tricky answer.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, no, definitely no.
Right.
Because it is so expensive and this career is so hard as it is that you shouldn't like jump into it right out of the gate in serious debt. Yeah. And if you are going to go, you must do what I said, which is the networking. That's definitely like the most valuable thing you can get from Berkelee, in my opinion. And then it just depends on your like on what you want to do with your career. You know, what your major is, all of that stuff. Yeah. If it was me and I had a child, I probably wouldn't send them to Berkelee.
Really?
I would probably get them a really, really, really good mentor, somebody that like is at the top of their game, if you can find that, right? Yeah. And then just pay for that, and then just real life experience. That's where you really learn the most.
Just start playing shows.
Playing shows, building your business, social marketing your stuff, working on sales, even getting a sales job. I learned more at my sales job. Interesting. And even with singing, like I told you, like I didn't learn how to sing until I was singing every single night for 4 months, 3 to 5 hours a day, on a ship in front of a live audience. Like there's nothing that's going to train you better than that. It's literally singing boot camp. And that's and we'll get into that in a little bit, because that's the cruise ships is like
you learn so
You
much.
did that, right? You did ships?
No, I never did ships.
Oh.
No, Chaz did ships. A bunch of my friends did cruise ships. I still think it's cool. I'd probably do it for a little bit.
You would?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd try it out for like a month or two. I don't know if they have a contract for that, but a couple months. So when you were going to Berkelee,
Yeah.
did you have like the instructor that you had when you were younger? You're singing in high school? When
Yeah,
was it?
that was in high school.
Did you have one of those mentors, instructors that really motivated you in Berkelee?
No, not really. No.
No? Not at all?
No. I had Berkelee was just kind of a different vibe. Like everyone was like, every teacher was kind of like a revolving door. I didn't have like one set teacher.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't like that. And then kind of after Berkelee, that's when I decided like I was done with singing lessons forever.
Oh, really? That's when you stopped?
Yeah, because the thing with, in my opinion, like I know how to sing properly now at this point. You know, it'd been like many, many years of singing lessons.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really learn how to sing again, like till I was on the cruise ship, you know, doing it all the time. But after that, I started recognizing that everybody that had like the same vocal teacher started sounding kind of the same.
Oh.
And when I was really trying to be a singer-songwriter, I recognized how important it is to come up with your own sound, right? That's like, there's so many amazing singers out there, but how does somebody become a Miley Cyrus, right? And that's because Miley Cyrus has such a unique tone, unique structure. Like, she sounds like Miley Cyrus. And I think that's the hardest part, is coming up with that unique tone or that unique sound. And it's really hard when you have like a vocal teacher kind of molding you into a sound.
Yeah, I totally get that, because all the teachers have their own like techniques, and they all think that technique is like the one to do.
Like everyone that studied with my teacher from high school, we all kind of had like the same vibrato, you know?
Oh, interesting.
More or less. I mean, she might disagree with that, but for me, I just felt like I heard similarities, and they're not like everyone sounded good, which is like the whole point. Right. But it just ends up sounding to me a little similar.
And what was some of the best things that she showed you in high school?
Oh, I mean, really, like when I was in high school, I didn't know how to sing properly, you know? Like, I couldn't easily weave from like my vibrato to my head voice. I mean, singing is so nuanced. Like, you can move like one small muscle and like it changes the whole sound. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. And so you basically just, she really kind of put you on like a good path, and
yeah,
you didn't even so like through Berkelee, at
Berkelee I just kind of, I was doing so much different stuff. I don't feel like I got like better at singing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really interesting. I wouldn't even have guessed that, because you know, I'm sure there's like really good instructors at Berkelee, but like, yeah, that's cool. Definitely network at Berkelee.
Yeah, network at Berkelee. Or any music school you're at, really. Yeah.
So you ended up going to Berkelee, and then that kind of pushed you towards cruise ships, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I graduated Berkelee. It's funny, when I was at Berkelee, I used to tell myself, I'm not going to ever sing covers. I'm only going to sing original music.
Is that kind of like looked down upon at Berkelee?
No, I don't know.
Or is it more like original artist?
It was just more me. Like, I just wanted to be like an original artist. I really wanted. At that time, I was really into singing like blues rock.
Interesting.
I was in like a blues rock band.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of
pretty good, except the fact that the guitar player was literally like a psychotic person. Like, he actually has mental health issues.
Wait, what happened? What do you mean? Like at gigs, he would like freak out?
Not necessarily at gigs. He just like, he literally thought he was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, just like ego?
Yeah, ego, maniac.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so that didn't work out naturally. Bands are hard.
Bands are tough, yeah. Anyone who hasn't been in a band, there's usually a lot of drama. There's sometimes drama. Scheduling is difficult. What else do you think?
I mean, it's just like dating people, you know?
That's true, yeah.
Because it's like everyone is, I mean, in any kind of work, you know, when you're working with people, it's so hard. I find it extremely hard working with others. And it's probably me too. Let's be real.
Could be, yeah. I mean, I've played in a lot of bands too, and it's difficult, yeah. You're dealing with 4 or 5 different personalities. Everyone wants that chemistry together, but then also everyone's trying to do it their own way. And so,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why most bands don't work out. But then bands are fun. Like, you know, it's that kind of thing.
It's definitely cool. It was really cool. And
Yeah.
then I went to, so basically after Berkelee, I needed a job.
So you got your degree, and then you're like.
So I got my degree. I graduated a semester early so I can go travel because I love traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I backpacked in Europe by myself for 6 months or 5
Whoa.
months or something. And I was living on like such little money, like $20 a day. And it was the best time of my life, honestly.
That sounds amazing.
And do you want to hear a crazy story, actually?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was bopping around, living it up.
This was in Europe?
This is in Europe.
Okay.
And then my last stop, is Porto, Portugal.
Okay.
And I'm leaving the airport.
Cool.
It's a really pretty airport. If you haven't been, it's a good one.
I haven't.
Yeah, so it's like all glass. I'll never forget this. And I'm leaving this airport and like imminent doom just dawns on me. I have $0 and I have a singing degree and I'm going to move to New York City. And I'm like, how am I going to make money doing this, right?
So you're just sitting in the airport.
Oh, and also my parents cut me off. Like I was cut off.
Oh, really? They weren't helping you at all?
They weren't helping me. So I was like just feeling like beyond despair.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like the lowest of the low despair.
Yeah.
And then I moved to New York City. I get a job catering. I catered like the US Opens, and I was hustling. I've always been a hustler, you know, so I was just like emailing everybody, trying to find whatever thing I can get singing. And then I saw an ad on playbill.com, which was work on a cruise ship as a singer. So you had to submit a tape of you singing like 10 different songs, different styles, different tempos, everything, 30 seconds each, and then send in this tape, this audition tape. So I sent it in, and I got booked on a cruise ship. And my first place I met the ship, Porto, Portugal. I was in that same airport 6 months later, meeting a ship, working as a full-time singer.
Wow, that's crazy. So you had your freak out moment in the same airport that you took off for your first cruise ship.
Yeah, it was just like out of anywhere in the world. Like it was just so.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's when I started to really believe in the universe and believe that I could like speak to the universe.
Manifestation,
and just like trusting your path.
Yeah, having goals.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was full circle moment, right?
That was a full circle moment, yeah.
Wow.
And then it's another crazy story because my parents have always been like more supportive of me than even I've been of myself sometimes. And when I got the job for the cruise ship, I had only 2 weeks to learn like 200 songs, and I knew 5. So I was stressed. I was so nervous. I didn't know if I was going to like it. And I called my dad. I remember I was like walking around Fifth Avenue in New York, and I called my dad. I'm like, I'm going to tell him I'm not going on the ship. I'm going to tell him I can't do it. And he was like, why would you do that? And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be good enough. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to hate it. And my dad, so supportive, he says, Sabrina, do it. If you don't like it, I'll pay for your ticket to come home.
Oh,
and that courage was all it took for me to go and do it.
That's really cool. So maybe your dad is the second motivator.
I mean, my dad has like always been like the biggest motivation for me because he's also an entrepreneur. He's a CPA, not in music, but like he helps me so much and motivates me so much, and they've always just like cheered me on. Both my parents have always just like cheered me on and pushed me.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I feel like that's super important, and that's maybe your vocal teacher in high school and your parents have all those same qualities.
Yeah,
that really like make you
push
for it.
It was amazing because my parents gave birth to me, so it's kind of nice that they do that. Like, it's a good thing. Right. But the vocal teacher, I mean, she's probably one of the few people that aren't like related to me. Right. Just a complete really stranger. Just like, you know. So that's nice to think about. I haven't thought about it in a while, so that's why I'm like thinking about it. Yeah, it's cool I love going back to like the timeline of how you got to where you are because it makes you think about all this stuff. It's really cool. And so
were your like any of your friends from Berkelee doing cruise ships, or like
Oh,
was it just
yeah.
like you going like by yourself? Like,
Oh yeah,
just
I
on
was by
this-
myself on that ship. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know how like on the cruise ships it's just like one band, you know.
Right.
So I was just
Yeah.
with
So
one band.
explain kind of how it was.
So okay, so I was in the house band. So my job was to sing every night, 3 to 5 hours a day, just like wherever the band was.
Whoa.
So sometimes we would do Sail Away. Sometimes we would do just like the club. Sometimes we would do like a jazz dinner.
So they just move you around on the ship.
Yeah, they would just
Wherever
move me
they needed
around
the
wherever they
band.
needed me. And then there's like a really fine print in the contract that like even though you're hired as a singer, like they can use you for whatever they want to use you for. So there was like really annoying jobs where I'd have to like wake up really early and put like life jackets on people for like when we were in Antarctica.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
I
they
was
had you do
stupid
other
about
stuff.
it. Yeah,
That's
and then
a
I had to
lot.
like do tour, like walk people around, like guide people in tours. I had to host dinner where I had to like sit at the dinner table with like 8 people and just like be the host of that table.
Oh, interesting. I've never even heard that.
Yeah.
So you had to do all the singing in the band and do all this
and then I
extra
had
stuff.
like other random duties that they would just like pop up.
Whoa.
And I was always just like very angry about them.
Really?
Usually.
Is it, I mean, just even singing every night, how is that? That's difficult.
Yeah, it was really hard in the beginning.
Just on your voice?
Yeah, my voice. And it was like pre-COVID, right? This was before COVID. And like, do you remember the times before COVID? Like you would have the flu and they'd be like, go to work. And you'd still be like at work. Like I'd be giving it like singing on stage with like the flu.
Right.
You know?
It's so rough. Yeah.
It
it's
was just
so
different times. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was the only singer that could do that job. So if I didn't do it, then who would do it?
You didn't have a replacement?
No. So I had to sing every single day. There was no days off.
Wow.
So it was kind of grueling for sure.
And how long was your contract for?
So my contract was like 3.5 months each time. And I think I did 3 or 4.
Dang. So for a whole year, basically.
Yeah, for a whole year, basically, on and off. So you'd be on for like 3.5 months, and then you get off for like 6 weeks, and then you go on again.
And where'd you go?
I went like everywhere. I went all over Europe.
So you went from like Portugal.
Antarctica.
Went to Antarctica?
I went to Asia.
How was Antarctica?
It was pretty cool. I mean, it was interesting because, you know, you have to travel a long time. So it'd be like days at sea, and then you get to Antarctica, and then you're like, yay! And then you go outside, and it's like really cool. And then you like go outside again, and you're like, there's nothing here. You know, like
Yeah, like where do they go? Like,
so,
is it?
Like that's the thing. Like when you're on a ship for a long time, the thing that you do is you get off. Most people will like go to the mall and just get Wi-Fi because at that time you have to pay like an arm and a leg for Wi-Fi. So most people were just like hanging out at a mall. I really like to go on the tours because like that's something that's really cool with my ship is that these really expensive tours you could have gone and been like a guide, kind of like not even a guide, just like the eyes and the ears for the ship. So you kind of just like go watch the tour and you get to go for free and see all these cool things. So I would always try to go on as many tours as I could.
Yeah.
So I got to do some really cool things. I got to go horseback riding in Argentina.
Whoa.
I got to see like all the palaces in Russia. I got to do like a bunch of really cool stuff like all over. And these tours were like hundreds of dollars and I got to go for free.
Right.
So I don't know why more people didn't take advantage of this because everybody could have done it, but they just wanted to go to the mall.
That's crazy. Yeah. Why not go experience all that?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like some of them like couldn't do like they didn't have the whole day off like I did. Many times I had like the whole day off, so I can just like go off.
Do you think that's like the biggest perk of doing a cruise ship?
So it just depends on what job you get, right? So this being a singer is like a top of the totem pole job. I got my own cabin. I get paid more. I work less.
Really? As
It's a
opposed
much
to the
better-
other band will.
Just like the musicians.
Oh.
The musicians have to
interesting.
share cabin. At least on my ship, right? They have to share cabin.
Yeah, that's
They
what
got
Chaz
paid
said.
less. They have to work more
Oh wow.
than the singer. The singer is considered like a step higher.
I didn't know that.
But then there was like different levels. So like it surprised me. So then I was a step higher, but then the cast members, so the people that were like in the shows, they were a step higher than me. But the dancers in the show were like a step lower than all of us.
Whoa, okay. So there's like a hierarchy system
or the
here.
bottom of the totem pole in the entertainment on cruise ships. I had no idea.
Whoa. Yeah, I didn't know that either. And Chaz did say he had to like share cabin.
Yeah, he had to share cabin, which sounds awful.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd have to see it. It's like small, right?
It's super small. It's like
how big was your cabin?
My cabin was really small. But like for me at that time, I had never had my own room really. Like I went from like, I had a small room in Brooklyn, but I never had my own bathroom. So I went from like that to like a cabin where I had my own room, my own bathroom.
So it was an upgrade.
I had a cabin cleaner. I thought I was like living it up. You know what I mean? And then like that's why it's like if you're going to go on tour or something like that, it's a lot easier when you're right out of school and you have nothing nice to compare it to, right? Like, I'm going from a shitty house to like a shitty van to like a shitty hotel. But when you get to the stage where we're at now, we're at like nice houses, nice rooms, nice beds. It's kind of hard to go backwards.
Right. No, that totally makes sense. And how old were you when this was going on?
On the ship? Oh, I was like maybe just 21. Like I got the job like right out of school.
Early 20s.
Yeah. I was a mess, really. I kept falling in love with pirates, basically.
What do you mean pirates? What do you mean? What is a pirate?
Like, we found love in a hopeless place.
Yeah.
The hopeless place is a cruise ship.
So
I got my heart broken like just constantly.
You fall in love with the band members? Your bandmates?
I started, no.
Or just really, people on the cruise ship?
Yeah, just different. Well, when I first started, you know, like, you just go and then you all of a sudden, like, grouped with all these, like, hotties from, like, Argentina and Brazil. All these, like, you know, romantic countries. And they're leaving flowers at your cabin and you're the singer, so you're, like, dolled up every night.
Yeah.
And then I started dating like this one guy. He was the lighting and sound guy, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, because you guys would
well, the problem is like you start dating someone and you're living with them.
Right.
You know, and there's no escape.
There's nowhere to go.
It's a small tin vessel.
You get mad at him. You're like, I'm going to the other side of the ship.
Oh my God. I was such a mess. Like, I've really come a long way with my mental health. Like, looking back, I'm like, man.
And would it be like you guys would like party every night after your shows?
So,
or like how was it?
Most people would party every night, but because I'm singing every day, you know, your vocal cords are like 90% water. Yeah. So if you're drinking, that's going to dehydrate you. So I only like got drunk like 2 or 3 times a contract. And I would get a good drunk that it would be good enough.
Yeah, it'd be.
It would be good.
That's super cool. And like, do you think it's a good, Chaz also said that like early 20s is like the perfect time to do the cruise ships.
A great job straight out of school.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. I mean, you can probably go and do it like kind of how Daniel does it, you know, and
he's playing residencies at like hotels.
Yeah, he plays residencies, but he also does cruise ships as like guest entertaining.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that's what I was going to go back and do before I got into what I'm doing now. Because like I built a girl group to go back and be a guest entertainer. Because a guest entertainer it's a way better job on a ship, right? You get guest privileges, so you get a guest cabin, so that's super nice. Depending on the ship. So you get to eat at the guest cafeterias. You don't have to do any of the crew drills, and you get paid more, and you work even less. So I was only supposed to.
And it's called a guest entertainer.
Yeah. So guest entertainer is like a higher class of entertainer. They fly on the ship. So basically, like they need a lot of entertainment for these cruises, right? Like every night there needs to be new entertainment.
So it's kind of like a special act.
So yeah. So basically, they have like the in-house bands that are people like living on the ship for like long periods of time, and then they fly in different acts. So like every night you'll have like a different act or different things. So there's like many different opportunities for entertainment for each given cruise.
Gotcha.
They need a lot of entertainment on these ships.
And is it harder to get? I mean, obviously it's harder to get the special act.
Well, I mean, it just depends on the act.
Like
there's acts where there's people that were like on America's Next Top Model or whatever on American Idol or like all those fucking shows, right? Like
so they fly in. Oh, I see.
So like those people get paid more.
Yeah.
And then they do that. So I had built a girl group that we had like a show, and it was like choreographed, like scripted, like it was a whole show that I wrote with 2 other girls, and we were meant to go on cruise ships to like put on these shows. You get a ship agent, they get you the gig. My first gig for that show was May 2020.
Oh.
So we never went on.
And that's when COVID happened.
Yeah, that's when COVID happened.
So you created this girl group, did all this work.
Yeah, for 2 years. We had to do we got like costumes, we got a script, we did everything. We got sheet music. It was so much time. We did choreography, like every dance number, every twist and turn. And wow. We never made like $1. It was very sad.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I wish COVID happened like 1 year later.
Yeah.
I wish I at least got to do it.
Wow, that's so crazy.
It's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, that's so wild. Okay, so you got this group together, and you guys were about to go on the cruise ships as a special guest.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that? What did you do?
I didn't do well.
Yeah.
I was really, really sad. I was so defeated. I really put like 150% into that project. Mm-hmm. And
what was it called?
Yeah, it was called the New York Harmonics.
So it's just you and 2 other girls?
Yeah, me and 2 other girls. And we all worked so hard building it. And when it went under, if you remember how COVID was, it was like, okay, we're going to be quarantined for 2 weeks, remember?
Right.
And then 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks turned into 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks turned into like 6 months. And like it kept just getting pushed back. And I had friends that like I was seeing on Facebook, and they were like trapped on a ship at this time. Like they were just like trapped because like people got like quarantined on the ship for like months at a time, which would have been like the actual worst thing on earth.
Right.
And and then I was in a really dark place because I turned 30 and was unemployed now, completely stripped of my identity as a musician, and just felt like such a loser. And my ex-boyfriend, he was like working, so I was just at home because he had to do one of the specialty jobs that made you work, which just made me annoyed because I was just like getting exposed and stuck at home. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just so dumb.
Yeah.
And so I was just at home, scrolling around on Facebook, feeling like a loser, and I got served an ad, learn how to produce music in 30 days. And I was like, this is so dumb. I'm not going to learn how to produce. I went to Berkelee, I didn't learn how to produce.
Right.
And I took the course because they had a sale. So I was like, you know what, let me just take the course. It was like $75. And I became obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So like I bought Splice. I bought a subscription to Splice. I bought a Focusrite. And I learned how to program in drums. And once I learned how to program drums, I was like, I can do this. And then I started posting on TikTok. And I decided I wanted to work with music tech companies. And 2 of the first companies I worked with was Splice and Focusrite.
Whoa. That's another full circle moment.
I know.
That's crazy.
It was like a year later, like exactly a year, I started working with them.
Whoa. Okay, so let's backtrack.
And Apple.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. So during COVID, so that 2 or 3 years, you were just posting content like crazy?
I didn't start producing until like the end of it because I was still kind of waiting for these gigs to come back. And so then I started learning how to produce. And then that boyfriend at the time got a job in Vegas, and he was like, do you want to move to Vegas? And I was producing, and I was also selling vocals to like people in Australia because I was able to like build a home studio now. I was able to sell vocals to people in like Australia and Scotland, and I was like, I can work anywhere. I just wanted to
you're just doing like the top lines for people?
Yeah, top lines and harmonies and arrangements and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. So you're just trying to do something in the meantime while you're trying to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. Else. Like I'm not one of those people that are good at just like doing nothing. That's not something, like even during COVID when I was waiting for things to come back, I was still like reading a lot, and I'm just a doer. I like a project.
Yeah, you said you were a hustler.
Yeah, I'm a hustler, and I don't do well if I don't have a project. I always need to have a big project. So then I moved to Vegas, and I didn't have any friends, and I had my own studio, and I was just learning how to produce. And while I was learning, I was just posting online pretty much what I was learning in the hopes to eventually work with music tech companies. Like that was the goal.
So that was always the goal?
Pretty much, yeah. From the, like, you know, there was a weird time where I was like, oh, I'm going to start producing so I can produce for other artists.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did like one other artist. I got hired to produce for them. And I decided, nope, this isn't for me. Like I did not like it. And then I was like, okay, I had to do like that soul searching. And I was talking to like a friend and he was like, well, what is it that you really like to do? And for me, I really like creating. That's my favorite part. And I love creating music, but it doesn't have to just be music. Like I also love creating videos and I love creating content and I love creating products. I just like love creating. That's the thing that's fun for me. I don't need to have like people screaming my songs back to me as long as I can make my own songs. So I was like, okay, how can I do this and get paid for this? And then I was like, I'm going to work with music tech companies because if I'm making a video for Antares and showing them their new version of Auto-Tune, they need a song or need some vocals to demo it, right? So I was like, cool, this is the loophole, and I love it. That's what I do for work.
That's a smart way to kind of, you still get the creative outlet, but then you're still tying it into all the music stuff that you love.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And so, and during COVID, TikTok was popping off.
Yeah, TikTok. It was super easy to grow on TikTok. I mean, I feel so lucky that I was able to get like validated so quickly because you know, for so many years it was so hard to be validated. You know, like I had the door shoved in my face so many times and so many disappointments. And then when I found my thing on TikTok, it was like instantly. Once I decided I wanted to work with music tech companies, I was like, okay, who do I want to work with? Apple. What kind of content would they like to see? Here's a cool Logic Pro tip. And like instantly, like my first Logic Pro tip video, Phineas commented on it and was like, damn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then it was just like that. Like they just kind of took off. And I think it was just a combination of like I'm learning at that time. So I was like able to explain things in a way that people could understand. And just like finding my strategy.
Your content strategy.
Yeah.
And like your business strategy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much to talk about here. And at the same time, we're going to get into your business in a little bit. At the same, I'm like trying to think of all the stuff we got to talk about. And so at the same time, you were in Vegas.
Yeah, at this time I was in Vegas now, yeah.
So you were still doing gigs in Vegas?
Oh,
singing gigs?
So it's funny you say that. When I first moved here, I did some few gigs, and then I decided I didn't want to do it because I didn't like it. Actually, you were on one of my first gigs with me.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
What was that place called?
I remember us practicing at the bass player's house.
Yeah. And then we did that gig at that bar that's like kind of outside. What's it? Front Yard? Is it called Front Yard?
Front Yard.
Yeah, Front Yard. And I was doing this gig, and like the gigs in New York City, were really cool. The gigs in Vegas are just not that cool. I'm so sorry.
What do you mean? Like how are they cooler in New York? Or what? Well,
first of all, like a gig in New York doesn't feel like a gig. It's like fun. Like getting to the gig is stressful and like learning the material, but once the gig is on, it's fun. Whereas a gig here felt very much like I was back on the cruise ship singing to two people that did not care about you. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like if you do a gig in New York, they hired you to be there. They care about you being there. Like they're into it. They're listening to you. Like it's so much fun. The gig is so much fun.
Do you think the crowds are better too?
Yeah.
Just everyone gets into it more?
Yeah, I mean here you're like glorified background music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's
like Vegas is a cruise ship on land. It is. Like it just is.
I've never heard anyone explain it that way. Yeah, I could kind of see
it. It is that. And it's great if you want to gig you can't gig every single night in New York. You gig Saturdays and Fridays and
just the weekends.
Thursdays, you know. But like in Vegas you can gig every single night, just nobody cares about what you're doing. You're just the background noise.
At some spots. Maybe most spots, but
at least the gigs that I was doing. I'm sure there are better gigs that people get, and I didn't feel motivated to try and get those. I maybe could have like hustled and got like a gig at Delilah or like one of those like cool spots.
Right.
Maybe, who knows? But like if I really was into it, I could have like hustled and got that.
Yeah.
But the thrill is gone. Do you know what I mean? Like I played in New York. I played some like
quoting BB
the best.
King.
I played some of the best venues. I played Mike Trout's wedding. Like, he's like a famous baseball player. We were on like ESPN. Like,
Right.
I did it. I sang it all. Like, I sang as far as I wanted to go with cover bands anyways. So I actually stopped doing the gigs. And then my ex-boyfriend dumped me and I needed gigs again. You know how it is? It's like you're a gig junkie. For so long, I felt like a gig junkie.
Yeah.
Like, I would just like, where's the gig? Where's the gig?
Just taking everything.
Get me a gig. And then when my other business took off, I was finally able to call it a day. I remember the last gig I did. It was, I think it was not last year, but the year, Christmas before. I got hired, me and Ethan, who plays guitar, got hired to do a duo gig at a guy's house for Christmas. And there was like 12 people there. They were paying us like $400 each, like a good amount to just like sit and play music.
Right.
The only thing is they did not want us there.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. Like, one of the family members must have hired us, but they did not want us there. Like, the whole time there was a TV on in the background. There was a little kid playing chopsticks on the piano. They kept coming up to us and being like, "Can you turn down?" And then we'd like turn down a little bit, and then they'd come up again and be like, "Can you just like turn down one more?" It's like, it's great, but can you just like turn down a little bit more? And like, we'd turn down again, and then like Ethan was joking, and he's like, "Do you want us to just like turn off the PA?" And they're like, "Perfect." And I was just like,
That's
you know
so
what?
weird. What a
this
weird
is the
scenario.
nail in the coffin. I'm like, this is me like hanging up my gigging hat and calling it a day. Like, that was it.
This was the music theater.
Yeah, this
role.
was the end. This was the end.
This was Mrs. Potts.
This was the grand finale.
Okay, so then at that same time, all of your content was popping off. So you were still
my
working on that
content
on
was
the
doing
side.
really well, and I've been working with music tech companies. I'm making like sample packs, just like did a sample pack of Splice, doing a bunch of stuff, and I just didn't need to do the cover band gigs anymore.
Nice. Okay, so that took you, what, like a year or two to build up?
Which one?
Your content.
I mean, yeah. So like it was 9 months before I made $1, and I was really trying to like not hold. Like, they say the longer you can wait to monetize, the better, and I do believe that. But at that time, my ex-boyfriend broke up with me, so it was kind of like game on, girls got to get paid kind of thing. And it just happened like very quickly after that.
Oh, that's cool. And so it seems like there's been like a few like where you just like a couple freak out moments that really push you to like do something different or transition into something different.
Even now, like, one of the best things I learned on the cruise ship gig. So one of the coolest things about that is like you're always like the people in the band are coming and going, so you're always working with a lot of different people and from a lot of different countries and a lot of different ages, right? So you get some people like straight out of school from like Kentucky, or someone from Italy, or someone from Australia.
Right.
And then I was working with this guy who was this much older piano player. And you're very close with these people for like a couple of months, right? Because they're all you see every single day for months. And like one day feels like 3 days on a ship. It's like breakfast is a day, lunch is a day, and then like dinner's a day. Like, that's how slow time moves on a tiny vessel in the middle of the ocean.
That makes sense, yeah.
So I was walking out with this man, like we went out in Greece or something like that, this beautiful port, and he was this older piano player. And he looks at me, and like this was like a pivotal moment in my life, and he goes, "Sabrina, no gig lasts forever." And for me, that's just really set in myself that like I can never get comfortable. And I just never have. Like, even with my career now, I've done really well, but the one thing I haven't done is coast. I'm always like jumping up to the next level, and thank God I am, because for a long time, like, my TikTok was just like my main moneymaker. And I was just killing it on TikTok. And even while I was killing it, I was like, I better build up my Instagram. And thank God I did, because now for a long time, my Instagram, I don't make any money on TikTok now, like pretty much none. So it's like, now it's like all Instagram. And right now I'm getting those feelings. So I'm like really investing a lot of time in my YouTube and like my mailing list. And like the last 2 like years or so, I've been really building up my mailing list. And a mailing list is so important.
Right.
And now I'm like building up my YouTube and my YouTube channels. And I just like, the best thing you could do is just like keep kind of leveling up. And then eventually, the more and more skills you get, the harder it'll be to like break you to the point where you can't work, you know, because now I could do so many things for my work. Like I could be a video editor, I could be a product designer, I could be a content creator for a company, I could run socials for a company, I could do marketing for a company, I could go back to singing gigs, I could produce for artists, I could just sing the top lines, you know, like there's so many ways now that I can make money that the only way I wouldn't be able to make money as a creator now is if I like get ill.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing.
I mean, you could probably still do stuff.
Depends.
Even if you got ill. Wow. That's really cool. And so that's always stuck with you.
Yeah.
No gig lasts forever.
No gig lasts forever. And I'm always just trying to like hustle and like learn and level up and never get comfortable. And there's those people, like those really like successful people. And like even somebody like Kim Kardashian, like they could just like chill. Or even somebody like Donald Trump. They could just chill. But they just have this like appetite for more.
Just growth.
Yeah. This
and
like
keep
obscene
improving.
appetite.
I think that's great. Yeah. Especially in the music industry when everything is changing so fast.
Yeah. You just got to be on your toes.
Yeah, you just have to. I feel like that's just great in any field that you're in. Just keep growing and keep building your skills. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, so let's talk about So you've been an entrepreneur for a couple of years now, right? Just solely.
I'm going on to my 3rd year.
Just doing content. Sides production.
Yeah.
And what do you find? So you make all your money from basically an online business.
Pretty much, yeah.
For everyone watching.
I mostly make my money working with music tech companies. So creating content for them, and content could be like video content or sample packs or like music. I've done a few like sync things here and there, and a few singing things here and there too. And then now I've been also making a pretty good money like selling my own products. So I have a Logic Pro crash course. I have a How to Work with Music Tech Companies course, and just like little products, you know, here and there. And yeah, that's been really good too. Like having your own products has been really good.
Yeah, what do you enjoy most about it, of being an entrepreneur?
Oh, the best part about being an entrepreneur is that you're the boss and you don't have to work with anyone else. I find it so hard working with other people.
Or you get to choose who you work with.
Yeah, but you get to choose who you work with, but even then, like, I still find it really hard to work with people.
You mean like you're kind of running everything and you don't...
Like, I wish I could outsource more at this point because I can afford to, but I just have such a hard time. I just haven't found, like... I have one virtual assistant now, and she's very part-time, but she's been with me almost, like, I feel like it's been almost 2 years, and that's been, like, amazing because we just text. We never even talk.
You're talking about Jen?
Yeah, I'm talking about Jen.
Yeah, Jen's awesome.
She's awesome. And she just gets me. Like, there's no fluff to our relationship, and that's really good for me. And we just do it, and she just does it, and it's great. But as far as, like, video editing and, like, that's always, it's just been harder to try to, like, find the right person. And I think it's because I also, like, do the job myself. Yeah. So it's hard to, like, find somebody that does it the way that, like, I would do it.
Right. Totally. Yeah, it's hard to outsource stuff, and it's because you just want to do it a certain way, or you have like a certain brand that you want to uphold.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. It's like you want to save time, and then sometimes you end up not saving time, and then losing money.
Like explaining it.
Yeah, explaining what you want. I just wish I had like a chip that I'd be like, okay, this is what I want. Like hand it to somebody and they just do it, and I just like pay them for their time.
Right. And they do it exactly how you want it.
And they do it exactly how I want it, and then it's great. But it's just not the way.
And what do you think is the most challenging part of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, the most challenging part is definitely that, like outsourcing. For me, so far, it's been like outsourcing. And I'm not saying that like I'm the victim here. Like I'm sure I could do things better. I can learn how to communicate better for sure, like my wants and needs. Yeah. And just, like that part is really hard. Anytime like money gets involved, it's always hard. You know, worrying about money, I guess, can be kind of hard. And there's just so many subscriptions. Like I feel like I have a subscription to like so many things.
Yeah, just
like I have my QuickBooks, my Canva, my Kajabi, my Zoom, my Calendly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The list goes on and on and on, and then it's just like, and then I do this thing, and then I do this thing, and then I have this subscription, and then I have that subscription.
A lot of monthly subscriptions, yeah.
And then it just like adds up. And even though I don't have like a headquarter, you know, like a restaurant or anything like that, like those got to be like impossible to run.
Right, just more overhead expenses, yeah. And that's, I mean, I guess that's, do you ever have like fear or doubt in running your own business?
I'm one of those like extremely like audacious people. So I don't like fall into a lot of fear and doubt. I can be anxious. Like I can get anxious about like my Instagram disappearing, things that I can't control, you know, I can get anxious about, but I don't have like fear and doubt within myself, if that makes sense. Yeah,
do you just kind of combat that with like just taking action?
Yeah, for sure. Like I know without a doubt that I am not the most talented person out there. Like I know I've never been the best singer. I'm definitely not the best producer. I'm not the best teacher. I'm not the best content creator. I'm not the best editor. But I do work the hardest. Do you know what I mean? Like I work harder than anyone I've ever met.
Yeah, you do work hard.
You know, and then there'll be people that I'll meet them and they work hard too. And then they'll say to me, "You're the only person that works harder than me." That's what they'll tell me.
Yeah, you do. You do work hard. I can second that. Definitely.
And that's the one thing I can do for myself is to just like put in the work. And it wasn't always that way, you know. In my 20s, I definitely like didn't work as hard as I could have.
Right.
And certain things I didn't work as hard as I could have. But now I'm in like my era where I'm just like learning more than I've ever learned in my life. I'm reading like audiobooks about like marketing and money and music and things that I just wouldn't have taken initiative on before.
Right.
Only because I thought it was just like impossible to self-learn. And then once I actually realized it's better. I'm better when I self-learn versus like learning from a teacher or a course.
Right.
Because I can just like pinpoint exactly what I want to learn or what I need to learn.
Yeah.
And then I can just learn that.
Instead of like taking the time to like find a mentor and stuff, you can just kind of hone in on a bunch of books.
Like, for instance, like instead of just like sitting on a flight and like playing games, I downloaded YouTube videos and I learned Final Cut Pro for like 3 hours, you know, on my plane, and I was just like taking notes. Yeah. And now I can edit my videos so much better. I looked up like new editing techniques and new things I could do, and I'm like, wow! And now I'm just like so excited about that.
So just kind of using your time wisely.
Using your time, like now when I exercise, I'm like exercising and listening to an audiobook and like taking notes, you know? Yeah,
let's talk about your daily routine.
Oh yeah, so I've come up with a strategy. It's called the MMMM strategy.
4 M's.
4 M's.
Okay.
So I spend 90 minutes a day on mindset, and that could be like eating well, exercising, working out, cooking well, then 90 minutes on music. So this is just making music for whatever I want to do.
Creative.
A song, creative, but specifically music.
Okay.
And then 90 minutes on marketing. So this is me making videos or editing videos or uploading a video, etc. And then 90 minutes on money. And that's where I'm working with my client work or products and emails and stuff like that.
Oh.
So a minimum every single day on those things.
And you kind of just crafted that out of, did you kind of slowly just fall into that?
Yeah, more or less. Like I found myself falling into that, and I find that if I can tap into every single one of those buckets, then I'm not missing out on something. Because it'd be very easy for me to skip out on one of them if I'm like busy doing something else.
Right.
But then I suffer, you know? And I see like so many musicians, they're like making music all day and it's amazing, but they're broke. They can't pay their rent.
Yeah, they didn't work on the business part.
Or I'll be doing really well with my business and my music, and I don't work out and I don't go on a walk, and then I'm sick.
And then your health goes down.
Yeah, and then my health goes down.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, you want to have like a balance.
Yeah, so I just try to like balance it out. And like you can make it smaller or larger for however much. You could do like 30-minute increments of each of them, or an hour, whatever.
So you found that an hour and a half.
Yeah, I just feel like that's, if I read somewhere that if you do something every single day for 90 minutes, you'll become like an expert of it like over time.
Oh,
and I just really liked that number.
Yeah.
Because that goes by so fast, you know, like 90 minutes really is like
And those are like, those 4 things are like, you want to be professional in all those things.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, you
So
need
just
all
make
those
sure.
things. Like if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So that's number one. Right? If I don't do music every day, then like what was the point of me doing this? I could have been like a pharmaceutical sales shark, you know?
Shark.
So it's like, what's the point of that?
Right.
If I don't do my marketing, then I'm not going to be able to build my business for the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not planting the seeds that I need to plant on a daily basis. And then if I'm not doing the money stuff, then I'm not going to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
So it's just like, those are the things that were like important for me.
Mm-hmm. And you prioritize those, and I think too, because you have such a busy schedule that you kind of have to plan those things. Otherwise, you can spend all day on one thing.
Right, exactly.
You know? So,
it's a busy schedule, but it's like my busy schedule. You know, like I created this for myself. I'm my own boss.
mm-hmm.
So if I don't set my own guidelines to be my best self, then the only person to blame is me. You know, like I can't complain about like my boss. I can't complain about my coworkers.
Right.
I can only complain about me.
Right. Yeah. I think that's awesome. I think a daily routine is, you'll feel better, you'll work better, you'll make more money, you'll just be a better person, especially if you do that even just for a year.
Yeah.
You'll just be a better person at the end of that year.
Yeah, and it's not like as structured as people think. Like it's not like I'm like checking it off the list. Like when you do it for a while, it just becomes natural, you know? Like today I didn't want to go to my workout class, but I just go, you know? And then you just start getting used to it and you just like go. Like I don't want to eat healthy. I want to go get french fries and stuff, but you don't. You know, like you just start to like just do the things automatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's kind of, after you do it for a while, you feel like this accountability almost. Like if you don't do it, then you're like letting yourself down or something.
Exactly. Yeah, it becomes a habit.
So you just are more likely to do it.
And like, what would I do all day? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a good thing to like fill up your days.
Yeah, like usually when I finish like a big project, I'll give myself like a couple of days to just like do nothing. And by the end of it, I'm like, what do I do? Like I need to get back to work. Like even on the days that I'm just chilling because I like went through like a really big time of like doing some crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I'm so bored. I get restless. Even on trips, I work. Yeah. I just like working.
Yeah, and there's like this really good line. I don't know if I came up with it or if I heard it somewhere or something, but it was saying like, do the things that you're proud of. Do more things that you're proud of and less things that you feel guilty of doing. So like, if you're just like spending your time like eating junk food and like maybe like partying or something, you're probably gonna feel a little guilty about it the next day. Yeah. But like, I don't know, going for a hike, working on some music and stuff, you're probably gonna feel proud about that.
Yeah, and then like, and then you just kind of like for instance, like I gave up drinking. I haven't drank in over a year, not even like a sip.
Nice.
And it's not because I'm an alcoholic or anything. It's just because I felt like it wasn't serving me. You know, like you drink and it's really bad for your health, and the next day you're super hungover. Yeah. Or when you're drinking, you're doing all these things that you wouldn't do when you're sober. At least I would. Like, whatever. So then I was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. And it's been kind of like refreshing. And then you're in these moments where like, even on vacation, I was like on vacation, I'm like, oh, let me just like get a drink and like get drunk. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. You just get used to just not doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't set you up for anything good.
Yeah.
It really is not a good setup plan. Yeah. Out of everything that you've done in music, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, so many things. One, don't just be good at singing. Try to learn other things too. So, like for a long time, I was just a singer, and then I learned, you know, production, and I learned marketing, and I learned sales and songwriting and so many other things, and like I'm able to do more. Mm-hmm. 2, post on social media. Like just start posting, just start documenting your process. Mm-hmm. 3, don't spend money on things you can't afford. Like you can do everything yourself. You can be your own photographer, you can be your own editor, you could be your own producer, you can even mix your own tracks. Like don't spend money on things that you can't afford. Watch your expenses. Yeah.
And that's tough to do, especially at a young age. And I feel like
I mean, I learned the hard way. I didn't say this in this, but when I walked off the cruise ship, I had $30,000 in the bank, and I was like 22 or something. And I was like, okay, next stop, Grammys. Like, here we go. And I like hired producers. I hired a publicist. I got like custom costumes made. I like went balls to the wall. I was taking my friends out to dinner, and I spent it all to zero in 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
And I really learned the hard way. And I was at that feeling. There's just like nothing worse than that feeling. Just like being at $0, like tail between your legs, like applying for like part-time jobs in an eyeglass shop. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Definitely track your expenses.
Yeah.
But then too, a lot of that you were trying to better yourself as well. A lot of that
I was trying to
going
better
towards
myself, but I had no idea what I was doing. So like most of that
Yeah.
stuff was wasted. Like most of those tracks I paid for people to produce, like never was released. So, like I didn't even know how to release things, you know?
Right. So it's better just to...
It's crazy like how little I knew even graduating from Berkelee. But it's just because like the thing was changing so much. Like when I graduated from Berkelee, like Spotify was just coming out. I don't even know how people release music before Spotify. Like what, put them on a CD and just like stand on the street and like pass them out.
Yeah.
So
I guess, yeah, I don't even know.
Like make friends with your local store and ask them if they can put your CD in the front. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know. I wasn't even doing music at the...
So then I was
That's
just,
crazy.
at that time, I was just like emailing blogs being like, hi, I made a song. And I would upload it on SoundCloud and be like, can you share it? And it was just SoundCloud links. I didn't even like put it
crazy.
on Spotify. I didn't even know what I was doing.
SoundCloud.
I was just didn't know what I was doing. And like, had I learned, typed in Google, how do you release a song? You know, I could have learned, you know?
Right. Those are good tips. Yeah, it's crazy to think of like the person you were when you first started the whole journey.
Oh my God.
And how much...
I wish I could have like, I mean, we're all on our own paths. We all come to the right destination. When I think of that girl from like 5 years ago, that girl being me, I'm so happy I made it to this point. Like, thank God.
Yeah.
So like if anyone's watching this and they're struggling, there's hope.
Just keep
like
going.
You can go, yeah, you can find a place. It just takes a long time. Like it really took me like a solid 10 years before I started to feel like successful in the music industry.
Wow.
It was so hard.
And you threw a bunch of stuff at the wall and you were seeing what sticks and
Oh yeah. It's
you were
like,
going through ups and downs.
Yeah.
And...
You literally feel like that, like, you know those like dummies at like the boxing ring and then you just like punch them and they like bounce back.
Yeah.
That's how I felt in like the music industry. Like just getting like punched and then you're like, all right, let's try again. And then like punch and you're like, let's try again. And I probably will. If everything disappeared again, like all my Instagram, YouTube, everything, I got canceled, I'd probably be like, round 2,
Yeah.
learning how to sing opera. I don't fucking know, you know? Like, that would be me. Just
Mrs.
like,
Potts is coming back.
Imagine. Oh my God.
That's funny. So what are you up to now? What are you excited about right now?
So I'm working on a lot of stuff. I'm trying to build my YouTube. I really want to build like different shows, music shows within my YouTube channel. Is my
Like
new
education
thing.
shows?
More or less. Like I'm figuring out a way, like, yeah, I'm thinking of different things to do for my like YouTube. I want to make it like educational, but also inspiring and motivational, and also give a platform to other people to kind of like promote them too.
Oh, cool.
So I have this idea. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but stay tuned if it happens.
What is your entrepreneurial goals?
And then, yeah, I'm trying to build up my programs. I'm building up my how to work with music tech companies course and program. So I have people in there that I'm working with. And
Do you want to be a millionaire?
Yes, 5 million.
5 million is the goal?
5 million in the bank.
Wow. That's cool. How long do you think
my personal plan right now is make $5 million like in the bank, like after getting a house and like all that stuff. And then 5 million in the bank. And then if I make any more than that, I plan to just give it away. And not just like a handout, like building infrastructure for like people to succeed. Because I'm kind of like a simple person. Like I don't need like fancy cars or like fancy clothes.
Yeah.
I would pay more for like experiences. Like I would love to fly first class instead of being packed in like a sardine.
Right.
But I don't, other than that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
like staying in like a nice hotel and
Mm-hmm.
like eating nice food,
Yeah.
I don't need like much more. Like I'm not one of those kind of people that need a lot of, for me to have a lot of money is like freedom to do whatever I want,
Mm-hmm.
go wherever I want,
Mm-hmm.
live wherever I want.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I feel like that's you've always had goals like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like throughout your whole story that we just heard.
Yeah.
It's like you set the goals and then you just did them.
I tried. I didn't always succeed, but I tried.
Yeah. And you're manifesting it too.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm big
that's
into
kind of
manifesting.
That's been like a theme throughout this whole thing too.
Yeah. I really believe that if you know what you want, then the universe will provide, but also you have to work towards it. You can't just like wish on a star and think it's going to happen. Like,
Right.
no, if you want to be a singer, you have to learn how to sing and like learn a bajillion songs and like go out and audition a bajillion times and get rejected a bajillion more times and get in fights with the drummer and get in fights with the guitar player and get accidentally drunk on a gig and throw up for days. Like, I don't know. It's like not all fun and games.
It all comes out. That's good though. Yeah, you got to go through the ups and downs. And you got to push yourself. And I think I feel like that's so huge. Like just writing down, getting all the ideas out of your head of like what you want to do. Even if it's like so far out that it's like,
even if you don't get to actually do it, like even just like writing it down and then just working towards it, and then as you're working towards it, realizing, oh no, that's not actually what I want to do, and then you pivot. Yeah. That's also okay too, you know? Yeah. But just like giving it a go. So many people don't even do that, get that far.
It's like a goal orient. It's like a goal muscle almost. Yeah. Like you have to like keep working that muscle to like just get used to it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how to explain that. And it could totally pivot and you could just be doing something else, but you're just used to taking action and going for it, that you just do that with the new thing.
Exactly. Like even when I was at Berkelee, I remember I had like this little thought in my head that was like, oh, I want to teach at Berkelee one day. Like that'd be so cool. And I did. I went back last summer and I taught at Berkelee for a week.
Another full circle moment.
And they even would have, I think they even would have offered me a job if I wanted to work there.
Really?
I think I could have gotten a job there.
Wow. That's so crazy. You've had a lot of full circle moments.
Yeah, and that's when I started realizing that like those little thoughts in your head are important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, great stuff. Where can we find you?
So I am Seids on all the platforms, Seids.
Cool, so on TikTok, Instagram,
YouTube, Threads, Facebook. And then I have my own website, www.seids.co. C-O.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.